Hey, what's up, Dean? Super Performance at the shop as usual, working on the Nova, and it definitely leaks a lot. But that's not why I'm working on it. I actually got the fan controller in, which is a Proform. Trying to find the part number. There it is. 69598. And this is the in-probe sensor, so it has like the thread in style instead of the one that shoves like in between the fins. I hate those. So this one threads in to a 3/8 MPT. I've already got a coolant sensor back there, I believe, for the dash, coolant sensor here for the MSD box. So I drilled, tapped the water pump, screwed it in there, ran the wires up along the back of the intake. This is the other wires from the controller coming out, which is a red and a black. It wires very different. It's a little confusing at first, but though all of that goes in through the grommet, then comes out. I kept the main fused wire running over, loomed it in. It comes out, and I redid the clips in here. They were wrong. They were like regular female. They weren't the lock-in style. So I redid those so they lock in now. It goes in, and the red is the negative coming off the controller. The blue is the positive, so it's wired backwards as a pusher. So this blue actually comes over to this, you can see. So it comes up to here and gets direct battery power. That big red actually runs along and inside. Then there's another black that's here that I put into the battery terminal. It's very weird, but so you have your fan, and they give you a loose wire in the box, but I already had one on a fuse, and I just believe it should be on a fuse. So that goes direct to battery positive. The red wire off the relay controller has an inline fuse, and it's negative fan wire. So it's controlling the negative side of the fan. The yellow wire off the relay goes to 12-volt switch. Black goes to chassis ground, which I have it on battery ground. And then your green is an override circuit. So if you want to bypass the controls, hook it to a switch, it's actually 12-volt. Manual override switch, attach green wire to manual switch positive, needs to be switched. So he already had a switch in here because he keeps taking out the thermostats that I put in it. So he already has a switch in, and he had it feeding ground to the fan. So now the box is mounted up there. I just used an existing bolt for the firewall plate that I made a while back and put it on there. It can't fall because of the way the tab is built on that box. So it's good and tight in there. Plugs in. Here's the relay in there red that goes to the negative on the fan, which is so confusing to me. This is the thermostat wire, plugs right in, and then the yellow and green run up and over behind, oh boy, behind there somewhere. Yeah, so they run up into there, and then, like I was saying, I found a switch 12-volt coming over for accessories, but it wasn't in use, and it was in this big loop here. Yep, this big loop here. So that's this heat shrink tube is on a pink accessory, and then that also has this little black wire tied into it. That runs over to this switch right here, the little toggle switch, and then back out of the toggle switch runs to that green wire there, and that turns it on. So like if we turn the key on, I don't hear the fan. So I hear the fuel pump running. There's no fan running right now, so that's not running. But if we, and then I'll show the temperature gauge. And it's a little over 160. So, and that's probably as hot as this thing has ever been, because it hardly ever got over 140 with the fan running all the time. But if you switch it on, you can hear the fan running. See it running, blowing through. That's good. So it still has a manual override, which you don't need it. You shouldn't need it. Fans back off. If I was to sit here for about 5 minutes or so, the fan would come on. I just ran it through, but I wanted to shut it off because that thing is absolutely pouring out. Can't really tell where it's coming from, but it's coming from somewhere on that housing. So I had to take that apart, figure out what happened there. I did tighten up that upper control arm nuts are tight, and grease fittings are positioned up. Not on yet. I don't know where my gun went. I might have put it away. This thing cools down so fast. This is an aluminum block 503. It just cools down so fast. It's weird to me how this one stays so cool. And it might be the loop in the heater hoses that's bypassing water that keeps it a little cooler. But eventually he'll get AC, heater, all that, and we'll hook those lines up. We'll grab the gun. There it is. Right now, oh, there it goes. It just kicked on. So I have it, that's programmable. So I have it set to kick on roughly around 180. Oh yeah. Right around 180. Can't get any closer. Yeah, the light on the camera's bad for it, but we're right around 180. And now the fan goes off. So I got that done. I'm going to now push the car forward. Now that I heated it up real good and I could burn myself on everything, I'm going to push the car back forward, get it up on the lift, try and see where that thing is dripping out of, because that's really annoying. And then figure out the sway bar and start draining the rear end to get all that fluid out, to pull the tires, the axles, all that good stuff. So that's what I'm working on. All right, I already pulled the truck in and forgot to record, but I got the diff cover off the back of the Nova. It's right there. And the fluid in it was like super clean. So, well, I don't have a bucket under it anymore, but that's okay. So I got that off because I started, as you can see, flooding the shop out with trying to fix this water neck. Whoops. And what was in there is that tiny, you can't really see it right there, that tiny O-ring was in there, and the thermostat already has kind of a built-in O-ring on it. So I took it off, put it on, filled it up. It had a tiny drip. So then I took it off again, and what I noticed is that the actual housing, that flange, that 2-bolt flange swivels, but the housing was sticking way out past it. And I put the thermostat in, and the rubber really didn't sit far above it to seal against the water pump. So I just went over to the disc grinder and I ground just that housing piece probably half the distance off so that the flange would suck it fully tight up against the water pump housing. And knock on wood, so far I think I got it. But other than that, I really, Nathan came by, so he bought a shifter. So we're gonna put my shifter in. I'm gonna reorder a shifter for my car. So we're good to go. I have his catch can, air filter, sock, shifter, regulator, fittings. I have all that stuff. I got the transducer in the regulator already. I got the new hose for it. This is the 250 millimeter long one. So this one will work in his. I got all that done. So tomorrow I'm gonna work on getting the rear end. I got the sway bar in, which was a little bit of a task because the bolt holes were not tapped. So this car apparently never had one. It didn't have one. I didn't have to take one off, but I got it on. I got the end links in. So the holes were there, they just weren't tapped. So I took a tap and ran it up in there. It's like 5/16 24 or 5/16 18. I think it's 5/16 18. Ran it up in there, bolted everything up, and it clears everything. I was worried about the alternator, but you can see it's got like a finger gap. So we're good there. Sway bar's in. I'm dying. That is it for today. I'm leaving. Soaked in sweat. So that's it. Tomorrow, come back, finish up the rear end. Hopefully my eyes are burned. Hopefully get the coolant. I think I got it all bled out now using the fancy funnel. So appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified of new videos. Leave me a comment. As always, have a good day.